Hello, we are Camilisa Sajoner Contreras, Betania Marquez, and Miguel Toasia, and we will speak about trade zone agreements that has Colombia with many countries in the world. Well, first I will speak about Colombia and USA Free Trade Agreement. Okay, the trade promotion agreement between the Republic of Colombia and the United States of America, its attached letters and its understanding were signed in Washington on November 22 of 2006. On October 12 of 2011, the United States Congress approved the agreement, a fact that was followed by the passing of the approval law by the President Obama on October 21 of 2011. The principal objective of free trade agreement is the insertion of Colombia in the United States market with bilateral relations that will promote economic and commercial interest and will encourage investment. In general, it seeks to provide investors with a more stable business environment and to make agreements favorable to the provision of goods and services and to promote their export. The main benefit of the free trade agreement for Colombia is the consolidation of the tariff preference that we had with the agreement on tariff preference. This covered about 5,670 products. The entry into force of the free trade agreement meant access to the United States market with a 0% tariff for approximately for different sectors of the economy enter to compete with other markets for the more than 320 million consumers in the US market. For example, in the cosmetics, footwear, and clothing sectors, Colombia began to be competitive at similar levels with markets such as the Netherlands, Hong Kong, and Korea. In the case of cosmetics, Colombia competes for the United States market with countries such as Ireland, New Zealand, the Netherlands, and Brazil. Colombia and South Korea Free Trade Agreement. On July 15 of 2016, the Free Trade Agreement Colombia and South Korea started after the agreement was signed in February 2013. This integration is an important step to diversify national exports towards a market with an importing vocation and whose population has a high purchasing power. As benefits, all the country's departments will be able to take advantage of the benefits of the free trade agreement, where there are 528 goods especially, with great potential to take into account when promoting the export basket to that destination. In disadvantages, vehicle assemblers in Colombia believe that a free trade agreement with Korea would be disadvantageous for the sector and would affect the consolidation of the national industry as a vehicle exporter. This trade favors sectors as coffee, exotic fruits, healthy juices and drinks, bathing suits, underwear, leather bags, and organic chemical ingredients as well as extracts and pigments. Colombia-Chile Free Trade Agreement. Counting with 98% of trade liberation in the following 12 years, the Free Trade Agreement was signed on November 27 of 2006. As main objectives to promote balance and harmonious development between both countries to stimulate the expansion and diversification of trade, eliminate obstacles, and facilitate the cross-border movement of goods and services, substantially increase investment opportunities, establish guidelines for cooperation, and create procedures for the effective application and fulfillment of this agreement. In benefits, we have the expansion of commercial opportunities in the international arena, income from Chilean exports, and investment in our country, which effectively encourage the economy towards development and manage to direct us towards a more competitive Colombia, generating better living standards for Colombians. Chile is a strategic ally due to its participation in Asian markets. For last, the Colombian products that are currently exported and become part of this commercial exchange are surfactant preparations for retail sale, polystyrene, insecticides, paper products, brass, citric acid, thermocoals, razors, candy bottles, unroasted and not oiled coffee, and among others.
Partial Scope Agreement of Commercial Nature AAP. Number 28, between Colombia and Venezuela. Background and overview with Venezuela denunciation of the Cartagena Agreement on April 22, 2006. It was necessary to establish a legal framework to regulate the bilateral trade relationship. Although our development models are different, the objective is the same: to improve the welfare levels of both countries, which is why the existence of a legal framework for bilateral trade stimulates the development of the complementaries of our economies, which will affect the growth and balance of our commercial exchange. Economic Complementation Agreement number 49 between Colombia and Cuba. Colombia and Cuba entered into force on July 10, 2001. The agreement includes chapters on market access, non-tariff restrictions, rules of origin, safeguard unfair trade practices, services, investments, intellectual property, and dispute resolution. The agreement covers about 1,000 products, with preference in favor of Colombia and 600 in favor of Cuba. In addition to this agreement, the two countries apply the so-called regional tariff preference of ALADI, which consists of mutually granting tariff reductions of 20% to a good number of products. Free trade agreement between Colombia and Costa Rica. In June 2012, Colombia and Costa Rica began negotiations to sign the free trade agreement, a process that lasted 4 rounds and ended in March 2013. The agreement was signed on May 22, 2013. It was approved with the Law 1763 of July 15, 2015, and implemented by Decree 1231 of July 29, 2016. Free trade agreement between Colombia and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. Colombia's trade relations with Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras have been framed in partial scope agreements signed in 1984 within the framework of ALADI. These agreements cover a small group of products through fixed tariff preference. The agreement was signed on August 9, 2007 in Medellin, Colombia. The FTA negotiations were held between May 2006 and March 2007 and included issues such as national treatment and market access for goods, investment in services, cross-border trade in services, electronic commerce, cooperation, dispute settlement, public procurement, trade facilitation, technical standards, rules of origin, and trade defense measures. This free trade agreement has been beneficial for the country because it has created a trade surplus for us. Cartagena Agreement. The Cartagena Agreement, which gave birth to the Group Andean, began to be outlined since 1966 with the Declaration of Bogota. It was signed on May 26, 1969 and entered into force on October 16, 1969, when the LAC Standing Committee obtained official ratification from the government of Peru, after that of the government of Colombia and Chile. In November 1969, Ecuador and Bolivia ratified it. Currently, the Andean community is made up of Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, and has as associated the states parties to Mercosur. Can member countries exchange without tariff 100% of goods? Analyzing some data and graphs, we see that there is a trade deficit because more is being imported than exported on the Andean community. But Colombia and Peru has trade surplus of $93 million. The main exported and imported products are value added. Partial scope agreement on trade and economic and technical cooperation between the Republic of Colombia and the Caribbean Community, CARICOM. CARICOM is an organization created on July 4, 1973 with the Treaty of Chaguaramas by 15 countries of the Caribbean. With 12 of the 15 CARICOM countries, Colombia signed on July 24, 1984, the Partial Scope Agreement number 31 on Trade and Economic and Technical Cooperation, which entered into force on January 1, 1985. This agreement was signed within the framework of Article 25 of ALADI in the city of Cartagena, Colombia. Colombia has benefited on export issues with a trade surplus and with a participation of 4.6% of total CARICOM imports. It really suits Colombia to continue having the agreement because most of the member countries have a high dependence on imported products. Free trade agreement between the Republic of Colombia and the EFTA European Free Trade Association states. It is made up of Norway, Switzerland, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. The free trade agreement between the Republic of Colombia and the EFTA states was signed on November 25, 2008 and was approved by Law 1372 of January 7, 2010. For processed agricultural products, the EFTA countries granted Colombia the same preference granted to their main partner, the European Union, for products such as green and roasted coffee, coffee extracts and essences, chocolate and cocoa products, among others. Canada-Colombia Free Trade Agreement (CCOFTA) in force since August 15, 2011. The CCOFTA, as well as parallel agreements on labor cooperation and environment, benefit a wide range of exporters and service providers. Implementation of the CCOFTA remove key bilateral trade barriers and improve market access for both Canadian and Colombian products. It has promoted greater certainty in the market through a more stable and open investment environment. The agreement protects international investors through reciprocal commitments and assures access to international arbitration. The third and most recent meeting of the CCOFTA Joint Commission took place in Ottawa on October 24, 2017. At the meeting, the Joint Commission approved a package of amendments of the agreement rules of origin for textiles and apparel, and approved a note of interpretation for the investment chapter that incorporate progressive investment elements such as reaffirming the right of governments to regulate in the public interest. As part of the commitments made under this agreement, Canada and Colombia signed a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) to promote cooperation and strengthen cross-border competition law enforcement in June 2017. The MOU between Canada's Competition Bureau and Colombia's Superintendence of Industry and Commerce established a framework for collaboration, coordination, and communication of information that will support the investigations and enforcement activities of both agencies. Canada and Colombia also signed the agreement concerning annual reports on human rights and free trade on May 27, 2010. This unique agreement requires that Canada and Colombia each produce a report every year on the effect on human rights in both countries of measures taken under the CCOFTA. In addition, Canada and Colombia have a double taxation agreement and an air transport agreement. Mexico-Colombia Free Trade Agreement (FTA), the modifying protocol signed by Colombia and Mexico to deepen their FTA, was approved by the Second Commission of the Colombian Senate on 29 September 2010. On August 2, 2011, the protocol modifying the free trade agreement between Colombia and Mexico entered into force. This instrument formalized the change of name of the agreement, incorporates the new products into the tariff relief program, and modifies certain rules of origin for the benefit of the economic agents of both countries. The protocol formalized the change of name of the agreement, incorporating new export products and modifying some rules of origin. The free trade agreement Mexico-Colombia includes a tariff reduction program over a period of 10 years. In the new agreement between the Republic of Colombia and the United Mexican States were excluded coffee, bananas, sugar, snuff, and cocoa products. FTA between Colombia and European Union. Tuesday, 11 December 2012. The FTA between Colombia and the European Union has been approved by an European Parliament in Brussels. The completion of the FTA will open Colombia up to an additional 503 million consumers across 27 countries. Research shows that the consumption of an euro consumer is close to $32, 4 times that of Colombia, so a significant new buying power. With this agreement, Colombia is predicted to not only witness a rise in the export of goods and services, but to attract more European investments and serve as a platform for other countries in the region without agreement with the Europeans. In terms of trade, the European Union has traditionally been one of Colombia's major trading partners. In 2011, it was ranked second as a destination for Colombian exports after the United States. Last year, global trade in Colombia with the European Union, according to the DEN, was 16.340 million USD, reflecting an increase of 54.4% over the previous year. Key exports include coal, briquettes, solid fuel, crude oil, coffee, banana, and ferroalloys.